Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Lppbbsg Primary Purpose Big Book Study Group. Our study follows a 96-week cycle that begins on the title page and continues through page 164. We study spiritual experience in Appendix 2 3 times when the asterisk refers us there. We also study Dr. Bob's Nightmare and the 12 Traditions. We close our study on week 96 by studying spiritual experience as a standalone meeting. Our meeting began January 7, 2020, using this format, and we are grateful you're here to study with us. My name is Lisa, and I am a recovered alcoholic.
Good evening, family. My name is Jamie. I'm a very grateful recovered alcoholic.
Before we begin, please be aware that the first 90 minutes of this meeting will be recorded in audio only for our website, podcast, and YouTube channel. If you missed the study portion, you can listen to it online. Study pages will also be listed in chat. Be sure to check out the information posted in the chat throughout the meeting for our other meeting times. Any announcements for the greater good of AA or for this group?
Good evening, family. My name is Jamie, very grateful recovered alcoholic. And we have a few things going on. Larry and I will be at a Three Legacies weekend this week, and I will be recording it and have the audio file available, so any of you who want it will be able to, I can email it to you so you can listen to the audio file. I went to Franklin and recorded a service workshop this last week, and if you want to understand what goes on outside of the groups and the meetings, I can also email that to you as well. Next month, on the 20th, we have the district picnic for District 40. So if you happen to be in Tennessee, in our area, it will be held on the 20th. More than welcome to come down and join. And one of the things that I was talking with one of our district groups this morning, and we are going to work and put together, which you'll be able to attend on Zoom as a hybrid, about safety in Alcoholics Anonymous. It has become an issue. It's always been an issue in the room. Sometimes you have very passive aggressive people. You have lots of predators in bricks and mortar as well as Zoom. So details to follow on that, but here in the next few months we'll be doing a workshop on safety in Alcoholics Anonymous as well, which is very appropriate for the day and age that we live in. 4th of July is coming up, Picklepalooza at my house. If you happen to be around, there will be plenty of tents and air mattresses once the house runs out of room. And third quarter assembly is coming up on July 10th through the 12th. And one of the wonderful things is that District 40, which we are part of, is one of the host committees. And by group conscience, we also made a contribution to the fundraisers in that. So it's going to be a great assembly. And that's all I have at the moment.
Thank you, Jamie. Tonight's recap will start on page 72, having made our personal inventory, and end on page 74, who do not understand alcoholics, and that will be read by Donald. And our study tonight will start on page 74. If we cannot or would rather, and end on page 75 with the spirit of the universe. And that will be read by Larry.
All right, thank you, Lisa. Please take a moment to get settle in and get comfortable while we take our big book study seriously, and we want everyone to feel present and connected as we begin. In a moment, we will take a 3-minute meditation followed by our family's fog light prayer. As we move into the study, please help us maintain a peaceful environment. Please be mindful of background noises when you're unmuted. And if you wouldn't do it in a live meeting, please don't do it on Zoom. Also, please stay muted during other people's share, and we will call on hands as they are raised.
From the foreword to the first edition of Alcoholics Anonymous, we of Alcoholics Anonymous are many thousands of men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. To show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book and of this group. For the meditation, focus on your breath and posture. Breathe in God and breathe out self. Take this time to reconnect with God and release the day. Come on in, the monks, and the fog-light prayer.
Take the monks in. Enjoy your time with God, folks.
And come on back and join me in the fog light prayer. God, let your love shine through us like a fog light, so that those that are lost, sick, and dying can find your love through us. Amen.
And let's have our secretary's report. Kenny, come on in. Welcome.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Hi, my name is Kenny. I'm your recovered alcoholic secretary. I've asked Lindsay to read the recovery statement to explain why many in this group identify as recovered. Lindsay?
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Lighthouse Lindsay, and I'm an alcoholic. Recovered. We are not cured from alcoholism. Recovered, but not cured? That presents a conflict to some alcoholics. If we were cured, we would be able to drink responsibly. No, we are not cured. The allergic reaction to alcohol will remain with us for a lifetime. but we have been restored to sanity. That was the problem. The main problem of the alcoholic centers in his mind rather than in his body. Page 23. We are now sane where alcohol is concerned. Consequently, we have recovered.
Thank you very much, Lindsay, for your service. Okay, we meet every Tuesday at 5:30 for fellowship, 6:30 Central Time for Big Book study. Cat disabled during the study so we can better focus on what's going on here. From the forward to the second edition, page XX, of alcoholics who came to AA and really tried, 15% got sober at once and remained that way. 25% sobered up after some relapses, and among the remainder, those who stayed with AA showed improvement. Anybody joining the meeting for the first time, please raise your hand. And we'll welcome you. Okay. Now a show of hands for our recovered alcoholics. These are your potential sponsors. Okay, anyone celebrating a milestone this evening? Screen shared person will stand by for virtual tips.
Yeah, Trish is working on standing by because she made it home.
Okay.
Doesn't appear to be.
Right. If you need a big book, we can send a large print copy. Please let us know by chat after the meeting. Please practice the 7th tradition using the link in the chat. We encourage you to get a big book and work with an untreated alcoholic. Thank you. See you next week.
Thank you, Kenny. And just a second, let me get back to my script here. From there is a solution. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we have discovered a common solution. We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree and upon which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. This is the great news this book carries to those who suffer from alcohol. This is an open meeting and everyone is welcome. You are not required to identify yourself if you don't want to. Your anonymity will be protected, and we ask that you protect ours. Our group is for those who want to recover from alcoholism and have a desire to stop drinking for good and all. Each member of Alcoholics Anonymous is a potential sponsor of a new member and should clearly recognize the obligations and duties of such a responsibility.
Before we begin our study of the Big Book, last week we reviewed Tradition 6. Tonight, let's take a quick look at Tradition 7. Please refer to page 562 of Alcoholics Anonymous. Come on in, Linda.
Okay, hold on for a moment. I wanted to just pull up something. Okay, Tradition 7. Every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. And the long form says, Tradition 7, the AA groups themselves ought to be fully let me make this bigger, to be fully supported by the voluntary contributions of their own members. We think that each group should soon achieve this ideal, that any public solicitation of funds using the name of Alcoholics Anonymous is highly dangerous. Hospitals or other outside agencies, that acceptance of large gifts from any source or contributions carrying an obligation, whatever is unwise. Then, too, we view with much concern these AA treasures which continue beyond prudent reserves. to accumulate funds for no stated AA purpose. Experience has often warned us that nothing can so surely destroy our spiritual heritage as feudal disputes over property, money, and authority. Hold on for 1 minute. Okay, I'm going to refer to Language of the Heart, and this will be Tradition 7. Tradition 7, Language of the Heart, June 1948. Our growth continuing the combined income of Alcoholics Anonymous members will soon reach the astounding total of $250 million yearly. This is the direct result of AA's membership. Sober, we now have it. Drunk, we would not. By contrast, our overall AA expenses are trifling. For instance, the AA General Service Office now costs us $1.50 per member a year. As a fact, the New York office asks the groups for this sum twice a year because not all of them contribute. Even so, the sum per member is exceedingly small. Let me make this a little bit bigger. If an AA happens to live in a large metropolitan center where an intergroup office is absolutely essential to handle heavy inquiries and hospital arrangements, he contributes, or probably should contribute, about $5 annually to pay the rent of his own group, meeting place, and maybe coffee, donuts. He might drop $25 a year in the hat. Or if he belongs to a club, it could be $50. In case he takes the AA grapevine, he squanders an extra $250. So the AA member who really meets his group responsibilities finds himself liable for about $5 a month on the average, yet his own personal income may be anywhere between $200 and $2,000 a month, the direct result of not drinking. These numbers reflect 1948. They don't reflect now 2006. So, just wanted to make that point. But some will contend our friends want to give us money to furnish that new clubhouse. We are a new small group. Most of us are still pretty broke. What then? I'm sure that Myra's AA voices would now answer the new group saying, yes, we know just how you feel. We once solicited money ourselves. We even solicited publicly. And we thought we could do a lot of good with other people's money. But we found that kind of money too hot to handle. It aroused unbelievable controversy. It simply wasn't worth it. Besides, it set a preceding which has tempted many people to use the valuable name of Alcoholics Anonymous for other than AA purposes, while there may be a little harm in a small friendly loan, which your group usually means to be paid. We really beg you to think hard before you ask the most willing friend to make a large donation. You can, and you soon will, pay your own way. For each of you, those overheard expenses will never amount to more than the price of one bottle of good whiskey a month. You will be everlastingly thankful if you pay this small obligation yourselves. When reflecting on these things, why should not each of us tell himself, yes, we, AAs, were once a burden on everyone. We were takers. Now that we're sober and by the grace of God have become responsible citizens of the world, why shouldn't we now about face and become thankful givers? Yes, it is high time. My experience with the seventh tradition, from doing service, and we have a GSO, we have a General Service Office here in Manhattan, and my experience is that my group, we donate to Intergroup, and then we also we send donations to GSO. You know, we are self-supporting, so groups often do that. There's a group in New York called the Atlanta Group. They have maybe 2 to 3 different locations, and they are huge. More than 100 people. They're huge. They have to have people stand there by the basket when it's they have 2 people counting the money in the basket, and they have people standing in front of them. Security guards standing in front of them. That's how much money that they do collect. And they are very big contributors to GSO and to Intergroup. And, you know, the business of being self-supporting, there are many entities, businesses, that will want to contribute to AA. And a gentleman that worked, he was an elderly gentleman, and he worked at Intergroup, New York Intergroup office for years. He stopped, he resigned his position. but he did share on this tradition one time. This man had a wealth of information and knowledge, and he said that AA turned down, in New York, AA alone, it turned down almost close to $1 billion because so many entities wanted to contribute. So there's a cap on, I don't know anywhere else, but I know here in New York, we have a cap on how much you're going to contribute. You can't contribute but so much, and you can't contribute so much per month. There's a cap on it because here, as it says, AA has to stay poor because we'll be diverted from our primary purpose. And money, you have alcoholics. People steal. You know what I'm saying? People steal. They can take the money and they can use it for things that has nothing to do with AA. And one thing that it was pointed out to me, as far as with this, why we're not taking all these contributions. AA could be rich. The sponsor that I had, she said, no. Once an entity gives you a very large donation, you no longer are in control. They are in control. They own you. And I said, oh, okay. And she said, our primary purpose is to stay sober. What if they give us $1 billion, we accept it, and they say, okay, let's start letting people drink in AA meetings. We can't have that. We can't have that. So we can't get into this controversy of money and this and that. And, nowadays, people don't just put $1. They put $10, $5, $2 because the rents are very expensive. Luckily, my home group that I go to, which is right across the street from me, that church has been so generous. They have never raised the rent. But there are some places, I think one said that it was $100 a meeting. So these rents are really expensive. We have to keep the meetings going, and we have to put money in the basket. We have to contribute. And that's why they always say we need you more than your money. Because some groups that were not able to make their rent, they closed up. They closed up. And we can't have intergroup closing up. We can't have GSO closing up. So therefore, we have to contribute. My group, we contribute. And we're a small group. We're a very small group. A lot of times I pay the rent for the group out of my pocket because, and newcomers coming in. Sometimes people will just wander in there. Oh, I found it on the app. So we have to keep those doors open. We can't say, let's stop this meeting because no one's going. No, we have to keep it going. It can't be an issue of money that stops that meeting, not as much as the AA did for me. So that is my take on the Tradition 7. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And now it's time for That Ain't in the Book. We sometimes hear things in meetings that can't be reconciled with what is in the big book. The topic for tonight is You're in the Right Place. Let's hear what the big book has to say about that. Terry, can you tell us what it says on page 92, paragraph 2?
Absolutely. I'm Terry, recovered alcoholic. If you are satisfied that he is a real alcoholic, begin to dwell on the hopeless feature of the malady.
Thank you for your service.
And we're going to switch it up, please. Please be sure to use your pens, your highlighters, and rulers as we study. We use the study guide prepared by Joe and Charlie and Krusty Cliff of the Dallas Primary Purpose Group to stay focused and consistent. We read the material once, then dissect it through the question and answer format. After tonight's study is read, we will ask questions from the imaginary podium. The answers will be one sentence unless otherwise specified, and multi-part questions are simply a one-sentence answer split up by commas, semicolons, hyphens, and other fun bits of punctuation.
After the study, we open the meeting for comments and questions based on the pages just read. Our purpose here is to stay in the book and let the message do the work. If a share drifts into something better handled with a sponsor, we'll kindly point you that way.
Sobriety. Bill W. wrote, Sobriety, freedom from alcohol, through the teaching and practice of the 12 steps is the sole purpose of any AA group.
Before we begin the recap, we need 5 to 6 volunteers to read answers. And come on in for our recap. Donald, on page 72.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Donald, and I am a very grateful recovered but not cured alcoholic. And starting on page 72 at the beginning of the chapter 6, into action. Having made our personal inventory, what shall we do about it? We've been trying to get a new attitude, a new relationship with our Creator, and to discover the obstacles in our path. We have admitted certain defects. We have ascertained a rough way what the trouble is. We have put our finger on the weak items in our personal inventory. Now these are about to be cast out. This requires action on our part, which, when completed, will mean that we have admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs, of our defects, my bad. This brings us to our 5th step in the program of recovery, mentioned in the preceding chapter. This is perhaps difficult, especially discussing our defects with another person. We think we have done well enough in admitting these things to ourselves. There is doubt about that. In actual practice, we usually find a solitary self-appraisal insufficient. Many of us thought it necessary to go much further. We will be more reconciled to discussing ourselves with another person when we see good reasons why we should do so. The best reason first. If we skip this vital step, we may not overcome drinking. Time after time, newcomers have tried to keep to themselves certain facts about their lives. Trying to avoid this humbling experience, we have turned to easier methods. Almost invariably, they got drunk. Having persevered with the rest of the program, they wondered why they fell. We think the reason is that they never completed their housekeeping. They took inventory all right, but hung on to some of the worst items in stock. They only thought they had lost their egoism and fear. They only thought they had humbled themselves, but they had not learned enough of humility, fearlessness, and honesty, in the sense we find it necessary, until they tell someone else all of their story, their life story, excuse me. More than most people, the alcoholic leads a double life. He is very much the actor. To the outer world, he presents his stage character. This is the one he likes his fellows to see. He wants to enjoy a certain reputation, but knows in his heart he doesn't deserve it. The inconsistency is made worse by the things he does on his sprees. Coming to his senses, he is revolted at certain episodes he vaguely remembers. These memories are a nightmare. He trembles to think someone might have observed him. As fast as he can, he pushes these memories far inside himself. He hopes they will never see the light of day. He is under constant fear and tension, which makes for more drinking. Psychologists are inclined to agree with us. We have spent thousands of dollars for examinations. We know but few instances where we have given these doctors a fair break. We have seldom told them the whole truth, nor have we followed their advice. Unwilling to be honest with these sympathetic men, we were honest with no one else. Small wonder many of the in the medical profession have a low opinion of alcoholics and their chances of recovery. We must be entirely honest with someone if we expect to live long or happy in this world. Rightly and naturally, we think well before we choose the person or persons with whom to take this intimate and confidential step. Those of us belonging to a religious denomination which requires confession must, of course, will want to go to the properly appointed authority whose duty it is to receive it. Though we have no religious connection, we may still do well to talk to someone ordained by an established religion. We often find such a person quick to see and understand our problem. Of course, we sometimes encounter people who do not understand alcoholics. Thank you for letting me be of service.
Thank you, Donald. We can use a few more answer readers. Let's see, and Larry, come on in for our study on page 74.
I'm Larry, and I'm an alcoholic. If we cannot, or would rather not do this, we search our acquaintances for a close-mouthed, understanding friend. Perhaps our doctor, our psychologist, will be the person. It may be one of our own family, but we cannot disclose anything to our wives or our parents, which will hurt them and make them unhappy. We have no right to save our own skin at another person's expense. Such parts of our story we tell to someone who will understand, yet be unaffected. The rule is we must be heard on ourselves, but always considerate of others. Notwithstanding the great necessity for discussing ourselves with someone, it may be one is so situated that there is no suitable person available. If that is so, this step may be postponed. Only, however, if we hold ourselves in complete readiness to go through with it at the first opportunity. We say this because we are very anxious that we talk to the right person. It is important that he be able to keep a confidence, that he fully understand and approve what we are driving at, that he will not try to change our plan, but we must not use this as a mere excuse to postpone. When we decide who is to hear our story, we waste no time. We have a written inventory and we are prepared for a long talk. We explain to our partner what we are about to do and why we have to do it. He should realize that we are engaged upon a life and death errand. Most people approached in this way will be glad to help. They will be honored by our confidence. We pocket our pride and go to it, illuminating every twist of character, every dark cranny of the past. Once we have taken this step, withholding nothing, we are delighted. We can look the world in the eye. We can be alone at perfect peace. and ease. Our fears fall from us. We begin to feel the nearness of our Creator. We may have had certain spiritual beliefs, but now we begin to have a spiritual experience. The feeling that the drink problem has disappeared, we often come strongly. We feel we are on the broad highway, walking hand in hand with the spirit of the universe.
Thank you, Larry. For our answer readers, please speak clearly, follow the text sentence by sentence. If you lose your place, you may pass or allow the question reader to guide you. Okay, and let me get the questions up. So our batting order is Linda, Kenny, Tanya, Stephanie, and Terry. If you could all unmute. Let me get these up. Okay. So going back to page 74, where Larry started reading, start with Linda. Your question is, if we don't want to go to a member of the clergy, what can we do?
If we cannot or would rather not do this, we search our acquaintance for a closed mouth, understanding friend.
Okay. And thank you. And Kenny, what professionals might be acceptable?
Perhaps our doctor or psychologist will be the person.
Oh, thank you. And Tanya, you get a two-part question. A, what about a family member? And B, what can we not do if we use a family member or a close friend?
It may be one of our own family, but we cannot disclose anything to our wives or our parents, which will hurt them and make them unhappy.
Thank you. And Stephanie, what is it that we have no right to do?
We have no right to save our own skin at another person's expense.
Thank you. And Terry, how do we handle some parts of our story?
Such parts of our story we tell to someone who will understand, yet be unaffected.
Thank you. And Linda, what rule do we follow?
The rule is we must be hard on ourselves, but always considerate of others.
Right. And Kenny, what situation could exist?
Notwithstanding the great necessity for discussing ourselves with someone, it may be one is so situated that there is no suitable person available.
Thank you. And Tanya, a two-parter. A, what do we do if there is no one we can share with? And B, but we must be ready to do what?
If that is so, this step may be postponed. Only, however, if we hold ourselves in complete readiness to go through with it at the first opportunity.
Thank you. And Stephanie, why do we say this?
We say this because we are very anxious that we talk to the right person.
Right. Thank you. And Terry, a three-parter. A, what is important about the person who will hear our fifth step? B, what must the person hearing our fifth step understand? And C, and they must not do what?
It is important that he be able to keep a confidence, that he fully understand and approve what we are driving at, that he will not try to change our plan.
Thank you. And Linda, on page 75. Can we use this as an excuse to postpone?
But we must not use this as a mere excuse to postpone.
Thank you. And Kenny, when do we do our fifth step?
When we decide who is to hear our story, we waste no time.
Thank you. And Tanya, a two-part question. A, what do we have? And B, we are prepared for what?
We have a written inventory, and we are prepared for a long talk.
Absolutely. And Stephanie, what do we explain to the person who is to hear us?
We explain to our partner what we are about to do and why we have to do it.
Thank you. And Terry, what must this person realize?
He should realize that we are engaged upon a life and death errand.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And Linda, how will most people feel about doing this for us?
Most people approaching this way will be glad to help. They will be honored by our confidence.
Absolutely. And Kenny, how do we take our fifth step?
We pocket our pride and go to it, illuminating every twist of character, every dark cranny of the past.
And my one and only comment, the following are our fifth step promises.
Thank you. And Tanya, if we are completely honest and thorough, what is the first promise?
Once we have taken this step, withholding nothing, we are delighted.
Mm-hmm. What, Stephanie, sorry about that. Stephanie, what's the second promise?
We can look the world in the eye.
Absolutely. And Terry, what is the third promise?
We can be alone at perfect peace and ease.
Yes. And Linda, what is the fourth promise?
Our fears fall from us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And Kenny, what is the fifth promise?
We begin to feel the nearness of our Creator.
Absolutely. And Tanya, what is the sixth promise?
We may have had certain spiritual belief, but now we begin to have a spiritual experience.
Yes, thank you. And Stephanie, what is the seventh promise?
Feeling that the drink problem has disappeared will often come strongly.
Thank you. And Terry, the last question. What is the eighth promise?
We feel we are on the broad highway, walking hand in hand with the spirit of the universe.
Thank you all. Great job, and thank you for your service. All right, let me get back to... Okay. If you have experience with the pages read tonight, you are free to share. Please stay on topic and be mindful of time. You will see a 5-minute timer at the top of the screen. A friendly reminder, absence of profanity offends no one. We are now open for comments, questions, observations, and spiritual experiences based on the study material. We're open for sharing. Who's first tonight?
I vote Larry since he's unmuted.
Man, I didn't even know I was unmuted, man. That's not fair. I was going to listen tonight, but okay. Yeah, you know, when I did the fifth step, um, you know, I did a lot of bad fifth steps, you know, and I didn't get the promises in my life. This last time, about 4 years ago, um, I knew what doing the right fifth step was. To go back and in every cranny, in every dark place, in every place that I tried to hide and keep secret, in every place in my life that I was never going to talk about. And I really felt like 1,000 pounds had lifted off of me, and realized what the fifth step promises really meant. Uh, I did not understand that I even had promises of the fifth step until I took it this last time. And you know, it's up to us to share that with people. What they miss if they don't take a proper fifth step. I know it was for me. And I'm thankful. I am so thankful for a sponsor that loved me enough, cared for me enough, that he brought out all that stuff that I wasn't going to tell anybody because I didn't feel comfortable to tell anybody. But with him, there was something about him. I just knew that I was in a safe place. And, you know, that's what this is talking about, finding the right place first. And I did. And, you know, like I said, I wasn't going to share, so I really didn't have anything prepared, but I think that's all I have tonight. And I'm thankful for this program. I'm thankful for the promises that came true in my life after taking this fifth step. That's all I got.
Thank you, Larry. Terry, come on in.
Terry, recovered alcoholic. I love these 8 promises. I didn't see them or understand them at the time when I did my first fifth step. But boy, what an advertisement. What a way to get you ramped up and ready to go. I just love this. And the sentence I got to read, we feel we are on the broad highway, walking hand in hand with the spirit of the universe. That's how I felt. I felt part of a community when I did that fifth step. How many millions of people had done it before me, and I was able to do it. And, you know, when I first saw it, I didn't think I could do any of these steps really, but it just sucked me in and just smiling for weeks. It was like when I made my amends. You know, you couldn't smack that smile off of my face. I was so pleased with myself, I guess, pleased that I went through it. So I'm just really love that I could go back and read that to somebody that doesn't want to share a fifth step, because if that doesn't make you want to do it, that whole paragraph, those whole 8 promises, nothing will. So thanks for letting me share.
Thanks, Sherry. Who's next? Oh, Sheila, come on in.
Hello, I'm going to make a quick one, a quick little blip. Sheila Alcoholic. One thing, it took me a while to learn, by the grace of God, one day at a time, coming up to 10 years. In sponsorship are the directions in here, the directions, the prayer promises and the warnings, and the directions to be humble and be able to let go of my ego when it comes to who the person, allow this person who may have these deep, dark secrets to share with the person that they pray and ask for God to put into their heart, their intuitive choice, to help them with that, because I didn't do that in my first 6-7 years of sponsorship. It never occurred to me, honestly, to tell my sponsees, listen, you don't have to do it all with me, even though I read it in the book. It was right in front of me. I think I got too involved with, wanting to feel like I was a part of that intimacy with what was in their heart, and I think it became too much of my own ego in there. I'm reflecting now, I don't think I was as fair as I could have been to give them directions on how to share the fifth step with their pastor, their friend, the homeless person on the bench, whoever they chose, but to allow them to understand that it is God that puts that person in front of us, and we get to use our free will to make that choice. It doesn't have to be right that second, right away, or they could even share some of it with me. But it was really up to them. And if I'm a responsible sponsor, I don't want to cause any rift in their comfort level, which may alter the thoroughness of, what they disclose. So, it is a life and death. This is life and death, this step. All I need to know is that the sponsee feels that they've been honest and thorough. And then we pray together, and then intuitively, my first sponsor said at the end of my fifth step, they didn't tell me I could do it with just anybody. I just assumed it was only that, even though like I said, I read it, it was right in front of me. So I think it's just really, that's important for me now to put that into practice. And I want to grow, and I'm growing, and I love this big book study because it just, blurts it out at me again. We pocket our pride, and that spiritual experience, I had to do the fifth step twice, 1 month within, because my sponsor said, there's something missing, you're not done, and she was right. And I was rocketed into that dimension the second time, because I was thorough. And yeah, it is just important for me now to let that person, that sponsee, that partner, know what their end is, and there are no rules, or restrictions, and that God is the one we ask to direct our thinking and our choices in this step. I think I'm understanding it more and more all the time, but thank you for this meeting. It really clarifies even more for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. Stephanie, come on in.
Hi, Stephanie. Grateful recovered alcoholic. My first go round in AA in the 90s. And I didn't know this was a thing, but I was not at all comfortable taking my fifth step with my sponsor. She was much older than I was, and I don't know that I just couldn't bring myself to tell her the things that I needed to tell her, and so I did I took mine with somebody that was more my age and could understand it. And also my sponsor at the time was, her addiction was an aspirin a day. So I was not I don't think it would have happened. So I actually forgot about that until we started discussing it here, that I had taken my fifth with somebody else, and I was so scared to take that, even with the person that I felt comfortable with, and I just remember reading through it and going over it and expecting, I don't know what I expected, gasps or and after it was all over and I looked at her and she just had this deadpan. She said, "Is that it?"
Yeah.
And so that was quite a relief. But when I did my next with my sponsor, my current sponsor, she was right where she was supposed to be, and I was right where I was supposed to be. And I believe God brought it to me. I'm so grateful for her. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Trish, come on in.
Hey everybody, I'm Trish. I'm an alcoholic. And there is so much in this little short reading that we have. My first step was not with somebody in the program. Or my fifth step. Let me clarify that. Because I didn't trust anybody. I wasn't going to trust anything with an alcoholic because I knew me. So I wasn't going to trust you with any of my stuff. But I kind of shot myself in the foot with that, because while she said she had an understanding of the program, which is why I picked her, she really didn't. Because after we spoke, she didn't, as we've already heard, realize that there was stuff I had left out, granted intentionally. But if it was somebody who knew the program and understood what I was doing, she may have been able to point out, I know you still got stuff in there. And she also didn't know what to tell me to do afterwards, which I know is not tonight's study, but once we do that fifth step, the sponsor should then refer us right into that sixth step, seventh step, and the discussion on the character defects. And she wasn't aware to do that either. I certainly wasn't going to use any of my family or any close friends because I had too much shame involved. And I wasn't going to let them know. I already thought they didn't think much of me, so I wasn't going to let them know that they were right in thinking there wasn't a whole lot going on in my world. Because of that shame and because of that self-image being so lousy. But over time, I did find I've done several fifth steps. And other than that first one, each person was somebody in the rooms. And we were able to, I knew my confidence was kept with each person because nothing ever came back to me. And I've heard stories from other people of where that has happened. But I had to put that out of my mind. I had to trust that God was bringing me to the right person. And I never heard anything back other than a one-on-one conversation of how you doing with this, how you doing with that. So when I did those subsequent fifth steps, it was with people who understand what I was doing or what the plan was. They weren't trying to change what it is I was doing. And I love how in the book it points out there may not be somebody right here where we are to do that. And back in the day there was a part of AA called the loners, where there were people who lived in areas where there weren't other people. And most of their correspondence, they got in touch with GSO and they ended up writing letters, pen pals, to use a phrase, back and forth, and a lot of their correspondence with somebody in the rooms was either by phone or by mail. I don't even know if the loners of AA, those who correspond with them, still exist because of Zoom. And with Zoom, there really isn't any way for me to say there isn't anybody available. If there's not somebody available in my hometown, I can find somebody who I can relate to on Zoom. I have done a fifth step with somebody on Zoom. I've listened and had others share their fifth steps with me on Zoom. And I find it's just as effective because we still have the face-to-face, we still have the eye contact, and I can be just as thorough with somebody that I'm either giving a fifth step to or listening to a fifth step on Zoom as I can be somebody if I'm sitting in the same room. But again, the importance is knowing that it's somebody who's going to keep that confidence and not go back and share it with other people. When I first heard these promises about the fifth step promises, it's like, wait, where did they come from? Because so often, and I say this a lot, so often we hear in meetings, I'm going to read the promises of AA. So for the longest time, I thought the 9-step promises were the promises, and those were the only promises. But right here it tells me there's a whole other paragraph of promises in the fifth step, and I love these. I love the one that says we can look the world in the eye. Because I was always walking slouched over. I was always looking at my feet. I couldn't look at anybody. I remember one of my fifth steps, or after one of my fifth steps, I was talking to my then sponsor a few days later. And she said, so how are you doing? And I said, I had to rearrange all the mirrors in my car. And she's like, what do you mean? It's like, I'm sitting up straighter. I'm looking at people. I'm not slouchy. I'm sitting up straighter. None of my mirrors were in the right spot anymore. And for me, that was a big thing. And I had learned to trust. I learned to trust other people. I learned and started feeling the nearness of God with each one of these subsequent fifth steps. And yeah, like Terry said, I'm on the broad highway, walking hand in hand with the spirit of the universe, but also everyone I feel who has gone before me, who has gone on that Broadway before me. And I know I'm not alone. My biggest fear with the fifth step was telling somebody all this dirty, rotten stuff that I did. And somebody pointed out in a meeting, if there's a name for it, somebody else has done it. And that made a whole lot of sense to me. So I knew I could go into that fifth step feeling like it's not the first time you're going to hear this. And it wasn't. And I'm sure it's not the last either. But I had to, for me, find that trust and find the realization that I was worth the time of another human being. And I am going to stop there. I have gone over, and I will share the time to somebody else. So we need some more hands, folks.
Thank you, Trish. I'll come in for a bit. Hey everyone, I'm Lisa. I'm an alcoholic. Few lines jumped out at me tonight. And boy, I can relate. Wicked trust issues. Some in my mind, but some for good reason. One of the sentences was, if we skip this vital step, we may not overcome drinking. That was most of my adult life. I always wanted to do the easier way and pick and chose what I did, and what I did was just go to meetings, sit in the back, not talk to anybody. And I didn't have a clue about any of this because I never picked up the book. I had a lot of dry time in my adult life, and I'm not doing so bad. I can stay sober a year at a time here and there, and I also lived with somebody who drank very different than me, and I had a lot to work with him. And but I was looking at, they took inventory, all right. Yeah, I took his. And it was just that awful cycle over and over, that awful patterns over and over again. You know, the few sponsors I did have, you know, I've heard it's up in my area in Massachusetts. They really don't, not a lot of big book talk. I heard what was it? Big book thumpers or something like that, they call us. Kind of making fun of it. And so I like I said, the sponsors I did have, we didn't talk about the big book. We went to a big book meeting, but she sat and talked to her sponsor through it, and it just was nothing like this. Nothing. And you know, I didn't hear these messages that I needed to hear. Not that I was be willing at that time, I don't know, but I'm grateful I am now. I was also remembering when I let that sponsor go, I asked another woman, and she said, "Are you going to do the steps? Are you willing to do the steps?" And I didn't say no, but I said, "Not right now. I have too much going on." And she says, "Well, I can't be your sponsor." And that upset me. That hurt me. I got angry, and I didn't talk to her again. But you know what? She knew I was full of it. I can see that now. And boy, I love to see her. I hope someday I can run, God will put her back in my path to tell her that. But yeah, I was very upset, and I talked about that for a long time. But she knew. She knew. You know, and I wasn't serious, or that, you know, what was going to happen. I was just going to keep on relapsing. But I got to tell you, I had no idea, and I wish I did it sooner. And you know, if you're waiting and waiting and waiting, or don't really, you know. I remember talking about some things, and yeah, I felt like, you know, oh my God, you awful person, I was going to hear or something, and it was nothing. Like, okay. You know, that's all in my head. That was all in my head. I'd say 80% of the women I talk to have gone through the stuff that, and just getting it all out, and not just that, talking, and because there were so many things I couldn't see. But after having those long talks, you know, someone else can see it and help you to see it and to find the pathway. And, you know, another thing I never did was have a relationship with God. You know, and doing saying these prayers. And it's all just changed my life. I found that peace. You know, those fears are slipping away. I was talking about them this morning. It's so different. I just feel different about everything. And you know, doing this work, and it's just changed my life, and it's just something. And and I'm actually looking forward to doing it again, to do a more of a deeper dive. And I'm not afraid, you know. But I listened to all those people. Oh, it took me 2-3 years, and I'm still doing it, or just not even hearing it at all. And I think that's a shame up in this area. But I'm just so grateful for this meeting and the people God has put in my path to help me down my pathway. And I'm going to keep coming. Thanks, everybody. Who's next? Donald, come on in.
That's me. Good evening, everyone. Donald, aka Gandalf the Clean Red Pickle now. And I am a very grateful, recovered but not cured alcoholic. And thank you guys for all your services today and stuff. And I just want to say that whenever I did my fifth step, I prayed about it, about who to tell it to. And I was in prison, and I had zero trust for anybody, because, people exploit weaknesses and everything, like that stuff. But God, or my higher power, finally put on my heart and stuff to talk to the priest. Even though I'm Protestant, he says, try the priest. And so I made an appointment with him and talked to him about it. And he says, okay, we'll set a time and stuff, at least an hour, but no more than 2 and stuff, And whenever I go in there and stuff, first thing he says, let's pray about this. And I'm getting all choked up just because of it. I didn't get the judgment that I thought I was going to get. I didn't get all the bad things that I thought were going to happen. We had some prayer, along the way for the people that are no longer with us that I could not make amends to. And whenever I walked out of there, I was a new man. I was a new person. And there were some things that I left out, not on purpose, because I couldn't remember. And one of the things my sponsor told me and stuff, he says, right now we're working with the boulders, and then the rocks, then the pebbles, then the sand, and then the silt, everything, because he says, this will not be the only time you'll ever go through your fifth step. You will continue to do these steps as you mature in the program. And so I do. And he says, whatever you do and stuff from this point on and stuff, make sure you journal. Keep a separate page for stuff that you omitted with that fifth step so that you can do it a fifth step the next time. And so I did. And, it's like, the more I did it, the less burden I had, the less weight I was carrying around. And so whenever, the most fear was the fear that I put myself through going into it. Because because of that shame and everything and stuff, And you know what? Once we get rid of that ego part of it, it's a blessing to let go of. So, if you're working on your 5th step or on your 4th step, don't be afraid of it. The only way to get through this is to go through this. And so God bless you guys. That's all I got. And sorry I wasn't here last week. I totally spaced. Didn't hear my alarm or anything. So, thank you.
Thank you, Gandalf. Lindsay, come on in.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Lighthouse Lindsay, and I am an alcoholic. What timing? God always has great timing. So this will be the second time that I've been through the steps. I spent a while without a sponsor. My sobriety date's July 4th, 2024. And I have found a sponsor that we have been going through the big book line by line and following the directions in the book. And right now I am writing inventory. I'm about 3/4 through writing inventory, and there's a whole bunch of praying and meditating and relying on God. There's some fear mixed in there. And also, I know that step 5 is coming, and I have been through this process before. But yeah, part of me didn't want to put up my hand because I know I hear a lot of different people. We want to compare rather than relate. But it's so important that I let you know, because a lot of people, as far as what I've heard, have been able to been through this process and have seen those promises come true. And I really feel like I don't have an option but to go through this work, because I don't like the restless, irritable, and discontent. And I realized that there was stuff, we left out some stuff. And I did, and I'm seeing in that 4th column some things that I need to get out, and I need to be able to talk to about with another alcoholic. And I just really appreciate the shares around the room, because I am heading into that step 5. It's a little bit scary right now. I don't know how that's going to go, because rigorously honest, I had to put my ego aside and say, regardless, I'm writing absolutely everything down that is coming up for me. So I look forward to it. I really, really do. There is a little bit of fear mixed in there, so thanks.
Thank you, Lindsay. Who's next? Or do I get to start calling on people? Hi, Tanya.
Thank you, Trish, so much. Tanya, alcoholic. Very grateful to be here. Very grateful to be sober, and very grateful to be alive today. And possibly I'm going to be a future crunchy pickle. So we'll see what happens there. But that's going to be my nickname here. I love this reading very much. I completed my 5th step with my sponsor. She did offer me, she did explain to me that I can do it with anybody I choose to, except not to do with people that I had to make amends with. But I did it with her, and I really appreciated her guidance and suggestions through it. I don't think I love the way it says in the big book here. It says, of course, we sometimes encounter people who do not understand alcoholics. So she definitely understood me, and I felt very comfortable to do it. Plus, it was on Zoom. I don't know, at least for me, it makes it less scary because we were on Zoom, and now I'm just going to tell my whole life story. But it was really, really good. And I love these promises that are on page 75. I forgot who said it. I don't know if it was Trish, when she said that we can look the world in the eyes. I really didn't, I don't want to minimize anything for myself, but I didn't have a lot of amends to give, because most of my drinking was in my own bedroom alone. I didn't go to any bars or socialize with people. It was just isolation by myself. And at the point when I felt that I am not giving 100% of myself at my job, I decided to quit and start my recovery, which never happened until I got very, very sick. A lot of those, promises that I thought I'm going to do it on my own, I couldn't. So I really appreciate this program, and I appreciate all of you guys here. The reading is just fantastic, and I just love this program. I really, and I love that it says the rule is we must be hard on ourselves, but always considerate of others. And some of my resentments that I had when I spoke with my sponsor, you know, especially I was born in Europe, and we went through really bad war in 90s, early 90s, and I had a lot of resentments against my parents because I said, why didn't they take us out of the country sooner? Why did we stay for so long? Why did we have to experience this nightmare that we saw as kids? And, you know, her words were, just put yourself in their shoes. What would you have done differently? And it was a great, great guidance through it. And it says here that we cannot withhold we cannot withhold anything. And that's what my sponsor said. If you tell me half of your story, I'm going to give you half of my help. You know, it's very necessary to be honest and you know, and tell everything and not keep any secrets anymore, because life is so much better today. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you all. And with that, I am going to pause and listen.
Who's next?
Thanks, Tanya.
Thank you, Tanya. Kenny, come on in.
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Kenny, and I'm an alcoholic. I first heard the message January 1989, but my sober date is December 3rd, 2018. I was always able to put down a drink, but I didn't know how to stay stopped. You know, I did several 4 steps and several fifth steps, and I remember the first time I did a 5th step with my sponsor at the time, Romero, and I told him everything, and he sat back and he listened, and when I finished, I felt like I was just introduced to the human race. He didn't say, "Oh my God, you did that, you did this, you did that." It wasn't any of them things, you know. And the last time I did a 5th step, I did with William, and I withhold 2 things from him, but I went on a retreat, and at the retreat, I got with one of the monks there, and I was able to say the things that I withheld for William. You know, I had a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, and I really, really looked down upon myself out of some of the choices that I made and things that I did. And after telling to Romero passed on. I told him everything. And Romero's with Sherman and Eli, all them guys that helped me get sober in 92 and taught me the program, you know. So when I came back in, I had to do another 4th step. And then when it came time for me to do the 5th, I said, no, I can't tell him this. And I held on to it until I went to the retreat came. And I booked I booked the time slot to talk with the father there, and I did what I shared with him, and he helped me to understand that I did them things to survive, because I was homeless for a long period of time, and I would go in the store and commit petty larceny, and you know, just to continue to have money so I could keep on medicating myself. And he didn't look down upon me. He helped me to understand that that was then, this is now. Uh, he helped me to understand that I was caught in the grips of a disease, and I was just trying to live, and I was just existing. I don't know if I'm making sense, but all I know is that I feel like I'm part of the human race now. I feel I can look people in the face, and I believe that you know I can be Kenneth for the first time in my life, and I'm in my sixties now, and the things that I used to drive me when I was a younger man don't drive me anymore. So I'm able to I'm able to be a brother to the sisters in the fellowship, a brother to the brothers in the fellowship, and I feel that I'm growing, and I got two people that I'm helping, and it really makes me feel good, you know, when I get a morning text for them, or I send them a morning text, or when I connect through them during the day. You know, I feel like I finally have something to offer. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, Kenny. Who's next?
Hi, my name is Linda. I'm an alcoholic. I was listening to everyone share because I shared last week about this, but for the most part, I can agree with a lot of people. Yes, it was the guilt and the shame, you know, that I was faced with when ready to do this fourth and the fifth step. You know, having to take a look at myself, you know, and having to face what I did. And that was my biggest fear, that someone was going to judge me. And that person didn't judge me. She fell asleep on my fourth and fifth step, if anything, you know. And she was an elderly woman. But she told me, she said, she repeated back to me the last thing that I had said to her. So I said, I guess she wasn't really sleeping, you know. And she told me some things that she did, you know, and it was a woman that I had did it with, and I was advised strongly to do it with a woman. If you're a woman, do it with a woman, because you have that women issues, you know, that only us can understand. And I was so glad that I took that, you know, suggestion, advice, you know, direction. But she's not alive anymore. She's an old timer, but and she had her things with her too. You know, nobody's perfect, and that's what she let me know. And she let me know, she said, I see a lot of liabilities, she said, but I don't see any assets. She said, really put yourself down. She said, but I don't see any assets. And she said, I see that you have kids, you're a mother, you take care of them. You have aspirations and dreams of going back to school. She started pulling things out of me, looking at me objectionable, you know, very objectively, and seeing the good, seeing the good. Then I understood that doing the fourth step wasn't about me badgering myself and, you know, struggling with that guilt, remorse, and shame. That's not what the fourth step is about. You know, it's about taking an inventory, keeping what you need, what is useful, what's valuable, and getting rid of what isn't, you know, to make room for the good, to make room for the new. You know, and it also told me to look at myself in a different light and to look at other people in a different light. And I've done, because I go to a step workshop using the Back to Basics book. I go to that every Sunday. So the people that have been there a while, we have to go through the fourth and the fifth step with other people. And we do it one time with them. And every time I go through that fourth and fifth step with another individual, and it's always women, I learn more and more about myself. This process of learning and improving and living, it never ends. It never ends. You know, I learned so much about myself. Remember, there was this lady that said this, and she said she only heard it from someone else. She said, people come to me with my own problems disguised as theirs. You know, in other words, we all have the same problems. And she said, no, I didn't make that up. I heard it from someone. And I thought about it and I wrote it down. People come to me with their problems disguised as my own. And I said, yeah, that's me. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Linda. Frank, come on in.
Okay, thank you. I'm Frank, grateful recovering alcoholic. Good to be here. Good to see everyone. Good to have a place to go on a Tuesday night to learn more about myself and others and learn how I can carry the message in so many different ways, inside and outside of these rooms. You know, I definitely love these steps, and you know, one of the things that happened with me was a sort of a incredible relief when I was able to share these things with another person. And, you know, especially the first time. And I remember with my sponsor at the time, going through things very meticulously, very methodically, working our way all the way down into the roots of the issues and all of the things. And that was very intellectually stimulating for me. It was really one of the first times in my life where I had put that much thought into myself and was able to sort out my emotions and see and experience the growth through my spiritual self, and also my mental state. You know, I goodness gracious, my awareness opened up, and I was able to be honest with myself. You know, I wasn't rationalizing things and being grandiose with things. I was looking at myself, and I wasn't lying anymore. I wasn't justifying things, and I was being honest. And, you know, I was sort of arrogant the first time. So it took me quite some time to get through the fifth and come to the point where I could sit down with someone and go through everything. But I'm glad that it took the amount of time that it did, because I think if I would have did it any sooner, I probably wouldn't have done as thorough of a fifth. And so, and through it, I remember just thinking to myself, damn, can we get this over already? Why are we, you know, why does this just keep going on and on and on? And, you know, I look back on it and I know why now. My sponsor knew I wasn't ready yet. And, yeah, I'm so thankful for these steps and for this room here. Thanks again for letting me share.
Thank you, Frank. Anyone else? What do you think, Trish?
Well, I will go ahead and read our closing then. From page 164 of our book, Alcoholics Anonymous. Our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask Him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order. But obviously you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with Him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to Him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then.
Thank you. And now we will close with a moment of silence for the alcoholic who still suffers in and out of these rooms, and then close with the Lord's Prayer. Here's your moment. Who brings us from shame to grace if we let him? Our Father, who art in heaven,
Hallowed be thy name.
thy
Kingdom come.
Thy
will
will
be
be done
done
on
on
earth
As
as
in
it is
heaven.
in heaven.
Give us
Give
this
us
this
this
day
day
our
our
daily
daily bread,
and
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 forgive
forgive us our trespasses,
us
as we
forgive
forgive those who trespass against us.
us
And
and
lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
For
the
thine is
King.
the
For
kingdom,
the kingdom,
the power,
power,
and the
and the glory
forever and
forever.
ever.
Amen.
Amen.
Coming back, it works.
Thanks for a good meeting, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Good meeting.
Thank you.
Good step.